Let's take a look at activities in Harmony. To understand Harmony's terminology, an activity is simply something that needs to happen within your management company. Sometimes these are referred to as tasks, but activities cover a broader scope than tasks alone. You can call this project management, task management, campaign management, or workflow management, depending on how you use it. Activities have a close cousin in maintenance, but they are different. With maintenance, things typically happen with an outside vendor, or someone acting in the role of a vendor, and they're limited to work done on units and properties. Maintenance has specific structures and options that are finely tuned to the maintenance obligations of a property manager. You can learn more about maintenance in other resources. Activities have a different scope. They're done by your team, and typically not related to work on a unit. For example, if a tenant has a leaky faucet, that's maintenance. If a tenant invites you to their housewarming, that's an activity. Maintenance and activities can dovetail, such as a case where you set an appointment to call a tenant to request feedback on a recent repair. The repair is a work order, the appointment to call is an activity, and the two can be joined together. In fact, an activity can be joined to most items in Harmony. For example, you might receive a tenant's rent payment that's $5 short, and from the receipt, create a task to send them an email about how rent must be paid in full or late fees apply. Or, you might receive and record an invoice for an owner, and, from the invoice, create a task to contact the owner to explain why the invoice was more expensive than anticipated. Or you might receive an email saying your paint is back in stock at the hardware store, and from that email, create a task to have your assistant pick up the paint on his way to work. Activities fall under one of the following main types: task, communication, event, schedule, showing, pickup, delivery. There are subtypes under these, which we'll see in this video. When multiple activities are related to each other, they can be grouped into a project or campaign. In projects and campaigns, email and text communications can be automated and combined with other manual activities like phone calls or tasks. We'll show examples of these, and it will all make sense. For the first example, let's schedule an all-hands company meeting. This is an activity for the company, so select the company, then Activities from their menu. But before you do that, let's imagine you'd watched the dashboard overview video and learned about quick launch buttons. In such a case, you might have already enabled Activities as a quick launch button on your dashboard. We'll do that now. Select Settings, then Menu and Guides, then Quick Launch Buttons, then turn on Add an Activity. You can now add an activity directly from Quick Launch. Select this, then locate the management company. Select the company to add an activity for it. Call this activity All Hands Company Meeting. In Activity Type, select Event, then Meeting. Set the start time for the meeting. You can set a specific end time, or choose Select Duration, then set the duration of the meeting. If your team needs a reminder before the meeting, configure the reminder alarm. This will send a reminder to all involved users at the prescribed interval before the meeting begins. If this is a recurring activity, set the recur schedule. Since this is a company activity, you cannot share permissions with anyone outside the company. In a minute, we'll see how you can share an activity with another person involved outside of the company. Status allows you to set the status of this meeting. If you're familiar with productivity systems like the GTD system, you'll see that Harmony is inspired by and aligns well with these systems. You don't need to follow a specific productivity system in order to get the most out of Harmony. But if you are committed to following a systematic approach to productivity, you'll notice all the ways that Harmony has this built right in. Location and items can be entered freeform or predefined. When we look at settings in a moment, you'll see how to configure your predefined lists. Here you'll add that the location is Zoom, and the item is the company Zoom meeting room. Harmony includes resource management, and resources can be assigned to an activity. For example, if you have a conference room that needs to be reserved for this meeting, you can add your conference room as an assignable resource for the company. When it's assigned to this meeting, it's unavailable for any other activities. If you have other resources that are issued, rented, reserved, allocated, supplied, or lent out, these are all covered in the resources system. Resources can be anything you or your owners and associations own and permit the use of, from a pool table or clubhouse to a lawnmower, generator, or pressure washer. Resources is a powerful system, and details are covered in other help articles and videos. In the description, you can enter as much detail as is necessary for all involved people to know what to do. Priority and importance are valuable tools to maximize productivity. If you've studied productivity solutions already, you know the long and short of how these two components work. In a nutshell, Priority is how you indicate where this should fall in terms of getting it done soon. Importance is how you indicate the impact of getting it done. A simple way to look at this is, generally do things with a higher priority first, and when there's not enough time to get it all done, elevate items with a higher importance. GTD says it like this: essentially, priority is the actionable decision of what to focus on now, considering the current situation, while importance is a more static assessment of a task's overall value. You might have established internal policy rules from your own revelations in productivity education and analysis, like employees should never schedule a routine doctor visit when there's something importance level 7 or higher to do at that time. Activities support time and bill tracking and reporting when it's needed. For example, you've scheduled this meeting for an hour, but it may run shorter or longer. Tracking allows you to report on how much time you actually spent. In the People section, you've got it easy here. This company only has one staff member. You see 4 different elements here. The creator is the person who created the meeting event. Assigned to allows the creator to make another person responsible for this meeting. Note that the assigned person could also delegate the meeting to someone else, in the meeting status, or could reassign the meeting to another person. Assignment and delegation are components of any productivity system, and have discrete meanings. Again, to unfairly summarize an entire productivity seminar in a sentence, the assignee owns responsibility, while the delegate is expected to carry it out on their behalf. The people involved includes everyone on your team that is involved with this meeting. When you're creating an activity with an external party, like an owner, they're also involved, but it's up to them to put that on their own calendar. They can do this easily, as we'll see in an upcoming example. This list here is only people inside of the company. If you're not seeing a team member here, it means they don't have an active user or agent account. Everyone in your company should have either a user or agent account, and should have their expected weekly hours indicated, so you can properly track, assign, and report on company resources. Indicate Busy sets the busy flag on the selected users during the scheduled meeting. It's up to you how you handle the busy flag. Many companies have a policy that says something like, if Joe is busy, don't interrupt him unless it involves fire, flood, or blood. Harmony will advise you when scheduling something for a user who is already busy, but you can override this. The busy indicator shows for a person on an activity, in the team functions, and when scheduling items for them. The Copy and Select All buttons allow you to quickly copy a setting from another field. Note these lists, like other lists, support the combination of Control-click or Command-click, as well as Shift-click, to select a combination of individuals or a range. If you have a relevant attachment for this meeting, like an agenda, attach it to the activity by selecting the button or dragging and dropping it onto the Dropbox. When you're done, you see this meeting on your company's activity list. It's also on your global activities list. Let's take a look at that. Select Management, then Activities, and we'll take a look at the items on this list. The Add icon allows you to add a new activity. You already did this from Quick Launch, but you could also do it here. Filter Results allows you to find any matching activity by entering something about the activity. For example, enter All Hands to find every all hands meeting on the schedule, or Meeting to find all meetings. The Next button allows you to toggle between displaying only unfinished activities, or all activities including finished ones. Hover over any activity to preview it. Like all lists in Harmony, this shows who the activity belongs to. Select it to preview their profile. This icon indicates the type and status of the activity. This activity has an overdue icon. Select it to change the status, or to view the activity and change its time. In the real world, you probably would have noticed you have one overdue activity on your dashboard action boxes. If you'd selected this when it showed up, you would have seen it on the list of overdue activities and dealt with it long ago. Back at the list, in the Date column, both the start time and end time are indicated for activities that have a duration. Certain activities, like tasks, have only a due date. The action shows a color-coded bar with the key actionable components of the activity. Below that is the name of the activity. In the People column, square icons indicate who the item is assigned to and delegated to, where applicable. Circle icons indicate who is involved. The infinity symbol indicates the selection of the All option. A busy indicator on an involved person shows that this person will be considered busy during this time frame. Indicator icons provide information about this activity. This indicates the priority. This indicates the importance. This indicates a reminder alarm is set. Details on each are displayed when you hover over them. You might manage your activities from this list, or may just work off your calendar. Select the calendar icon on the menu or your quick launch to view your calendar. You can see all time-based items on your calendar, not just activities. Configuration settings can change this, but generally you'll see all related agreement actions, like move-ins, move-outs, or renewals, violation items like deadlines to cure, maintenance items like work orders due, as well as all of your activities. From your calendar, you can select any item to view and manage it. Proactive managers spend some time every day on their calendar, so nothing gets past them, slipping through the cracks. If you miss something, as we saw a moment ago, it becomes an overdue action box on your dashboard. In a perfect world, things don't ever go overdue because you resolve them before their deadline. In the real world, things go overdue all the time, like when a tenant fails to pay the rent by the violation deadline, the vendor's truck overheats on his way to check the AC on a unit, or the invoice for the fridge replacement can't be paid because the tenant didn't pay rent, and you forgot to withhold the money in advance from the owner's last distribution. While Harmony automates a lot of this for you, making it easy for tenants to set up pre-approved rent from their bank account or credit card, automatically withholding estimates for outstanding work orders, and tracking vendor job logs when they arrive at a unit for a repair, we cannot prevent the vendor's truck from overheating. Let's create another activity. This time, we'll schedule an appointment to have lunch with one of our owners. You received an email from your owner Oswald. He's passing through town and would like to do lunch. Connecting your incoming email to Harmony CRM and dealing with messages is covered in other resources. We'll just look at how to deal with the activity portion. Open the message. From the Options drop-down, select Add Activity. Enter the details of the activity. In this activity, you see an option for Owner Portal, because you're adding the activity with an owner. Select this, and the owner will see it in their portal. In a minute we'll look at settings to see how you can make this the default. Learn more about portal configuration and options in resources covering portals. For this demo, you're going to send the owner 2 separate notifications by email or text. You'll notify him that you've put him on your schedule, with the time and location. Separately, you'll use Harmony's appointment confirmation system to give him the opportunity to confirm, cancel, or request rescheduling of the lunch meeting. Select the appointment confirmation button to set this up. You can send this immediately, but in this case, the owner just requested the meeting a moment ago. It might be better to schedule the confirmation message to go out first thing Monday morning, to remind him of your lunch and give him the chance to confirm it before you pack up and head to the restaurant. Set the time, and then choose Send to schedule sending at the indicated time. The appointment confirmation shows it's queued. In the meeting location, you might have your favorite lunch spot already in your list. If you don't, just enter it free form. Complete the remaining inputs. In the People Involved and Busy, select yourself. If you had a coworker joining you, you'd select them as well. In this demo company, you have no coworkers, so you're on your own. In the messages, you see there's a queued message to go to Ozzy to allow him to confirm the appointment. The notification option is turned off, as indicated by its grayed out status. This is something you configured in your settings. Learn more about notifications and message templates and other resources. For this one, just select it to turn it on, sending the owner a confirmation of the meeting. Select Save Activity. In your activities list, you now see the lunch appointment with Oswald. You see that the appointment confirmation is pending. On your calendar, you see the lunch appointment, with the appointment confirmation indicator here too. When you view the owner's activities, you can see all activities scheduled for and with this owner. The owner has received the notification email, which is based on the message template you created or modified for activities. The owner can click on the event date and time to add it to their own calendar. This is a configurable setting for message templates, which we'll look at when we explore settings. At the scheduled time, your owner will also receive an email asking them to confirm their appointment. This message is based on your customized template for appointment confirmations. When he selects the button, he's taken to a page where he can choose Confirm, Cancel, or Reschedule. This page is embedded in your website, if you have an integrated Harmony website. Oswald confirmed the appointment. You received an alert in Harmony to show this was confirmed. When you view the activity, from your global list, your owner's list, or your calendar, you see that it's now confirmed. Let's imagine the owner is driving along, and forgets where he's supposed to meet. He opens his flip phone and calls his wife, who does not have access to his email, but does have access to his portal because you helped them each set up a login account. She can quickly log in, view the activities and events, and see that the lunch location is Paco's Italian Diner. Problem solved, and he didn't even have to interrupt your morning. After enjoying your wonderful lunch of huevos rancheros with pancakes and prosciutto, you return to the office and look at your calendar. Select the lunch activity to update it, including changing the status to done. If you were tracking time on this one, or if you were billing the owner for your time and tracking that, you'd finalize those numbers. Even if you're not tracking time, you still have the opportunity to add this for your records. Before you wrap it up, send the owner a quick text message. Select the options drop-down and choose Send Text Message. Compose your message and select Send Message. In this case, you had a discussion with the owner about a possible investment opportunity. You need to follow up on that. Instead of selecting Save Activity, choose the option to save activity, then enter another to create a new activity to look into this investment property. We won't actually add the next activity in this demonstration, but it is a good time to familiarize yourself with the different activity types and subtypes. Select the Help tip on Type for a list. Note that not everything is listed here, because there are other specifically defined options that are only available when taking certain actions. For example, when you move in a tenant, you can schedule a move-in activity or project. Outside of the move-in process, you can still schedule an activity, but it won't be specifically registered as a move-in. When you schedule a showing, that's done from a showing request and gives you all the options related to a showing. There are a few options that correlate to other system functions, like schedules, deliveries, and pickups. These allow you to manage staff scheduling, as well as errands that include pickups or deliveries, like shopping trips or bringing items from your storage unit to a job location. If you're using these, consult other resources for additional help. For now, let's jump over to Settings and take a look at a few settings for activities. In Portals, Preferences, you can default new activities to have portal access. Additional portal configuration items are covered in other resources. It's worth reviewing at least the function overview video before you dive into portals. In Activities and Checklists, Preferences, you can set the predefined lists we referenced earlier. In Custom Fields for Activities, you can add custom fields to your activities inputs that are not already included in Harmony. In Number of Days in Advance to create recurring activities, you can set the advance interval when a recurring activity is created and added to your activities list and calendar. You'll recall that you sent an email notification of your lunch to an owner, and they can click on the link to add the event to their own calendar. If you want to turn this functionality off, do so here. Additional options are available in your message templates for activities, appointment confirmations, and instructions for login-less appointment confirmations. These are covered in detail in help resources for templates. Let's get into the next, and final, big thing in activities: projects and campaigns. As we mentioned earlier, a project or campaign is simply a series of various activities grouped together. Typically, most people think of a project as something you do for your company or someone you're already doing business with, while a campaign is for prospects. However, that's just one way to look at it, not in any way a rule. Structurally, projects and campaigns are the same thing, a group of activities to be done in relation to each other. There are two ways you can create projects and campaigns: template-based or no template. A project or campaign with no template is for one-off situations, where something comes up but is not expected to happen again. We'll circle back shortly and add one of those. A template is useful for situations where you have a recurring project or campaign, like a move-out and unit turnover project, or a prospective owner marketing drip campaign. We'll set those up as examples. Note that projects should not be confused with checklists. The Harmony checklist system allows you to check off a series of items, including items to review, verify, or to do. It's powerful, flexible, and simple, but it's not time-based with priorities, like activities are. You can combine activities with checklists, where one activity requires confirmation of individual components. For example, in a project for a make-ready, one activity might be to confirm everything works. That activity could have a checklist that includes checking all locks, appliances, blinds, faucets, etc., where the person who performs the activity must verify each before the activity can be considered done. Learn more about checklists and other resources. From Settings, Activities, and Checklists, select Project/Campaign Templates. In this demo account, we have no templates. Select the Options drop-down, then Add Template. In this case, you'll create a project for a unit turnover, which you'll use every time a tenant gives their notice to vacate or you provide a notice of non-renewal, which, in Harmony, is the first step of ending a lease. First, name the template for your reference. Then, set each activity that needs to happen as part of this project. We'll keep this one simple for demo purposes. First, kick it off with the move-out inspection. Then, select Add activity. For the second activity, add a task to review all maintenance and tenant charges. You might assign this one to your maintenance manager, but since you're a demo office with one person, it's going to be on you. For the third activity, add a task to do the security deposit disposition. In this case, you'd assign it to your bookkeeper, but here, this means your one-man show puts on his bookkeeper hat. Next, you'll take new photos and market the unit. Last, you'll send the tenant an experience survey and ask for referrals. Because you selected communication by email, you can automate this. In Message Template, choose the predefined template to use for this activity. You see that our demo account has no templates, so you can keep this as a reminder to manually send a message, or you can create the template to automate it. Let's create a simple message, then come back and add it. Save the template for now. Select Messages and Letters, then Custom Message and Letter Templates. From the Options drop-down, select Add Template. We'll zip through this quickly, since creating templates is covered in detail in other resources. Edit and save the template message, then return to your project/campaign template to add it. Scroll to the communication activity, and you now see an available message template. Select the Preview Template icon to preview it. Note that when editing templates, if you need to change the order, simply grab the header of any activity and drag it into its new position. If you need to remove an activity from the template, select the Delete icon from its header. When you're all done, select Save. In your Project/Campaign Templates list, select the Details icon to show the summary of activities in the project or campaign. Obviously, we know there are typically many more pieces to a unit turnover, like rekeys, deep cleans, consultation with the owner on recommended improvements, and more. Hopefully these 5 activities are sufficient to help you understand the concept. As a general rule, from a project management perspective, it's wise to add every possible activity to the template. On each move-out, when you create the project, you can review all of its activities and drop the ones that aren't needed in the specific case. Before we show this in action, let's create a campaign for a new owner prospect. When you have the opportunity to connect with a potential client, you'll add them to the campaign. As you discovered in the last step, in order to automate communications, you want message templates. While you weren't looking, we added 3 email message templates for owners to this demo account. Now, let's assemble them into an automated campaign. From Activities and Checklists, Project/Campaign Templates, add a template. Call this one Standard Owner Prospect. Add the 3 email activities, setting the timing and selecting the message template to send. For good measure, add a 4th activity, for a phone call to check in with the prospect and determine follow-on actions, at the end of the campaign. When you're done, save this template. You now have 2 project/campaign templates. You can proceed to create as many as you need. Some companies have dozens of different ones. It's worth taking some time to learn about all the Harmony features and automations before you create all of your custom projects. You'll find that Harmony already has built-in process flows for maintenance like work requests, work orders, work permits, architectural requests, and quote requests, as well as inspections, agreements, violations, and much more. You don't need to implement a custom solution for something that's already totally covered in the system. Let's see our campaign and project in action. You happen to run into an old high school friend at the grocery store. She indicated that she's amassed a small real estate empire, but is worn out with all the management responsibilities and is considering professional management. She gave you her business card and asked you to send her information. Note that it's not legal to send messages to someone who has not requested it. It's also not permitted to send text to someone who has not requested information by text. If this happens, it will be investigated, and offending accounts are subject to suspension and additional action. If you're looking for a solution that allows you to spam people, it's not Harmony. We are very strict about enforcing the requirement to have an established relationship or request from people to whom you send messages. Since this person specifically requested you send information, in Harmony, add her as a new owner, selecting the prospect type. Enter her information and select Next Step. You may be used to the prompt to add a management agreement here. Because this person is not there yet, Harmony won't offer this option. From her Activities menu, select Add Activity. In the type, you see you now have some project/campaign templates. Select Standard Owner Prospect, the campaign template you just created. Select the start time to kick off this campaign. Then, select the end time, when you'll get the warning that the campaign is over. If you selected any dates in the template based on days before the campaign ends, this date is important for that. Add any other details, then select Save Activity. You'll see that this prospective owner now has 1 campaign and 4 activities, scheduled based on your template. You can manually adjust any activity if desired to change it from your template setting. Each of the activities also has a project/campaign indicator. You can select that to view the project or campaign that contains this activity. When you view the project or campaign, all component activities are displayed, along with a Gantt chart of their timeline and completion. You can also manually add an additional activity to this project or campaign, as needed. Here you see the first activity was already automatically done, since it was an automated email scheduled for 0 minutes after the start of the campaign. In other words, you scheduled to have this email sent out at the exact campaign start time. When you view an individual activity within the project or campaign, you see the summary of the project or campaign, along with all other related activities. Since this campaign is automated until the last step, the phone call to the owner, we won't delve into managing the activities. Harmony will do all that for us. We just sit back and let it run. In the next example, we'll look at a project that is more hands-on and see the interactive components. Processing a tenant's lease ending is covered in Resources addressing agreements. Here we'll just look at the activity. From the Activities section of the lease ending process, select the button to schedule an activity. From the type, under Groups, select the Unit Turnover project. You'll see the start date is already set to the anticipated move-out date, but you can adjust it and set the dates as needed. You see this project is related to a unit, as well as to a tenant and lease. In the People section, you see a list of all potential conflicts that the people involved have with other scheduled activities. In this case, it all looks fine, but if you saw, for example, that a person involved was going to be on vacation, or at a seminar, during this project, you might consider involving someone else instead. Select Save Activity when you're ready to create this project. In the Lease Activities, you now see all of the different pieces of the Unit Turnover project. You can preview, then view them here, but typically you'd continue and handle the activities in your normal flow, from the calendar or activities list. Let's imagine that the time came to do the move-out inspection. Of course, since you set a reminder alarm in the template, you'll get a reminder 60 minutes prior per your settings. You'll use Harmony's full-featured inspection app to actually perform the inspection. This is covered in other resources and guides. When you're done, you'll open the move-out inspection activity in this project. Edit the activity and mark it done. You have the opportunity to track total time spent, or skip it. Add any notes, select Optional Notification to the tenant, and save the activity. Harmony advises that the Maintenance Review and Tenant Charges task is up next. Let's view that to see what we need to be aware of. You now see that the move-out inspection is marked done and is off your active list of items for this project. You also see that this task can be started after the move-out inspection is done, and that's done. So if you'd like, you can reschedule this task to be done sooner and move things along. You can add or edit any relevant notes or discoveries from your completion of the previous activity. When you're finished with your edits, save the activity. As you work through the month and complete all of the activities, the project will show them as completed and indicate what's still waiting. When you complete the last activity, Harmony advises you that everything in the project is done. You can then mark the entire project done. Many companies have an internal review process before they mark an entire project done, but that's up to you. You can simply mark it done and get it off your list. You now see there are no unfinished activities for this tenant. If you'd like, you can toggle the display to show finished activities and see all that you've done. Earlier we mentioned that you can also create one-off projects or campaigns, not based on a template. To do this, simply add an activity for someone. From the type, select Project/Campaign, no template. Once you've entered the summary of the project, select Add Activity. Add your first activity for this project. Once you're done, select Save Activity, then add another. Continue adding all activities to the project. When you're done, just select Save Activity to see everything in the person's activity list. If you have an existing standalone activity and want to include it in the project or campaign you created, open the activity and select the option for Assign to Project/Campaign and save it. There are a lot more fine details and some entire topics we skipped over, like managing schedules, doing pickups and deliveries, adding checklists or votes/polls to an activity, and more. There are other help resources that dive into this. For now though, you've learned a lot. It's time to kick back in your recliner, light your favorite pipe, and read the day's news.